Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Group Chat. Dee is out.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys heard, there was a little bit of a scrap in the end of the other day's episode on Sunday. And I think he's just out. I don't know. Anand, do you have any idea?
Yeah, I think, he needed some time to reflect.
Wow. Okay.
I think it's time for a new third face on the podcast.
Jason, step on up. Okay, so it's me and Anand today. And we have a lot to talk about. I mean, today is a big, big day for Anand. I won't tell you why, but I'll tell you that if you're watching on video, his outfit might give it away. But it's a big day for him, and he has a big evening planned, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to run through some sports stuff. Of course, we have to jump into there's a little COVID. I think we got to check in. We try to go easy on COVID these days, but we got to check in on the whole vaccine mandate sort of issue. Mm-hmm. And then I think we should end. Look, I think crypto. Crypto is obviously one of the biggest topics that exists at the moment. We're about to hit an all-time high in history for Bitcoin. And there's a couple big things that have happened in the world of crypto and Coinbase that I think we need to discuss with the expert
My dream
himself.
Partnership.
Yeah, Anand's dream partnership has come to life. It's missing one thing, but I think they could probably pull that part off pretty easily. But
yeah, he'll be involved at some point.
His two biggest organizations have come together. Who's ready for some group chat?
Woo!
There we go. Let's get into it.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, group chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Hey, Anand.
Wait, tap your microphone real quick. Yeah, okay, good. We're good.
Hey there, Anand.
What's going on?
It's like you might have
Drama.
off the pod.
Yeah, I think he got scared.
I think that little bit of old brotherly argument, he took off.
Yeah, it was just a masterclass on the future of education.
I mean, look, I care about you both equally, but it seems like people were kind of mainly on your team on this one.
So where'd you land? So I re-listened to it, and I know you were kind of moderating the discussion, and it was kind of tough when we're going pretty feisty at each other.
Yeah.
So you didn't get a chance to kind of chime in fully.
Yeah, well, hey, I mean, I think we all know. Look, I want to give Dee a chance to fight. I don't want to talk about him without him here. But, he does tend to be a bit of a champagne socialist. And, and also he tends to get fired up when the tequila gets to hitting, And so I think, we maybe just poured a little bit of gas on the regular fire. And then, if sure enough, Sunday night, Anand comes in relaxed and he's like, you know what? Enough of this bullshit. And then bam, it explodes,
Yeah, I was trying to think. So Sunday, that day, we were at a pumpkin patch and it was hot as shit, chasing around our kids. So we're already the heat's on us. We're dehydrated. You pour in whatever he was doing during the day and then some Lo Siento at night.
Yep. And there you go. And then you get fired up. And then, you guys just have to be honest, part of the reason I don't jump in too much in those moments is because A, I think the content's really good. And also B,
just let it. You're like the Joker walking away from the hospital that's blowing up.
I kind of am.
And you just throw your hands up.
I'm kind of just sitting there all right, a little longer. And then I try to end it when the time is right. But look, I think that at the same time, it's there's a brotherly vibe there that sometimes I think you guys just got to battle it out, And look, as much as I feel like one of your brothers, my last name isn't Murthy, and I got to let you guys just have at it.
I will say the unique thing that Dee and I have, especially being brothers, is we can go that hard at each other, and there's zero hard feelings the minute after.
Yeah. I give you guys credit for that because the moment I stopped, we stopped us. We ended the episode. We recorded the intro, and then it literally never happened.
Yes. And that's how we've been able to work together for so long.
Yeah, that's true.
Because in business, you're obviously going to have disagreements and tensions are going to flare no matter what. Doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's
good.
It's definitely...
There's some good content. Look, I think all in all, the whole episode was fucking confusing as shit, right? But I mean, we did our job. We had the conversations, and the listener can decide whether to go buy land in Sandbox or not, or which
Culver
side
City.
they fall on education for young people.
Yeah, no, I think it's great because so many people, especially when it comes to education, especially people with children, have very strong views on how they want their kids to grow up and how their education is supposed to be.
Yep.
And I just think it's just going to be changing real time over the next 20 years.
I agree.
So you could have this master plan and it might not matter in 15 years because everything's changed. That's all. That's kind of my broad.
I mean, at the speed that things change today, I cannot imagine because we're talking about Mav. Let's say we say Mav. How old's Mav? 2 or 3?
He's 3. Yeah.
3. So we're talking about 15 years from now until he even decides where to go to college. And then realistically, probably 15 more years at the soonest until you feel the impact of how he chose or you guys chose to educate him. So 30 years from now, who the fuck knows? It could be like, oh, getting educated on Earth is so whack. I went to Mars University.
Right, exactly. And it's actually, I listened to a podcast with Chris Sacca.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Sacca was an early investor in Twitter, early investor in Uber, early investor in Instagram. Like he was literally early in everything.
Mm-hmm.
So he's made billions of dollars. And he kind of took a backseat from investing the last, I would say 5-6 years. I think he just made a boatload of money and him and his wife and family wanted a break. Yeah. And now he's coming back to invest in climate change. So he did a podcast. And so I think he's just like getting back into the game. And he had a really interesting point because he's like, look, all of his friends are wealthy, right? They were in tech 20 years ago and they have all crushed it. And he said, when he was talking about children, that I think he went to Stanford. I want to say Stanford or Stanford Business School. Either way, it was like one of the elite institutions. He was saying his peers that have all done super well in technology and made billions of dollars, the ones who came from non-traditional backgrounds, so maybe they didn't go to college, maybe they only did high school and started a company, maybe they dropped out of like a tier 2, tier 3 college. He said them, as they are raising their children, are the most focused on making sure their kids get to the most private elite institutions, whereas the way Chris Sacca is like, he's already done it and he's like, I'm just going to let my kids do what they do and they'll be fine. Yeah. And he's like, it's an insecurity of not coming from that has driven a lot of parents that he sees forcing their kids to code at age 8, to, be in the strongest math class and whatnot. And I thought it was a good insight.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I think if the one part that I will say my opinion on, or that I even have an opinion on, is I just would bet that when it comes time for your kids to go to college, those 12 colleges that we named won't matter as much. But I do think that the one thing that it's really clear from like a conversation like that with Chris Sacca and his friends that those schools still have is security. It's like until there's a blueprint that seems at least minimum level trustworthy for another route, I think you'll always have people fighting to get in there, because at least for your kids, it represents like trust that it's not terrible. Like when you say
it's a security blanket, right?
Yeah, and you're paying for that security if you're rich, because if you say you can do anything, that could literally mean like meth. It could literally be anything. It could be World of Warcraft and chain smoking. I don't know, whatever the hell kids are doing. But at least like on a baseline security level today, if you go there, there's something. But I have to believe that by the time your kids are in college, there will be other like trusted paths.
Yeah, exactly. And we're already seeing that now. I think it's just going to accelerate.
Yeah. Why are you so Lakered up today?
It's the opener. I'm going to pay my respects to the king.
Oh.
Lakers Warriors.
Today's season opener?
Staples Center. Season opener at Staples Center. Taking my mom.
Wow. Just you and mom?
Amanda's going.
Oh.
No, me, my mom, Amanda, and Eric Weiss.
Amazing.
who you know well as well.
Yeah. You excited?
Very excited.
What are you expecting?
This is blockbuster.
What are you expecting out of the old king? Does he play a lot tonight, or he's taking it easy? Or
He'll play. You have it's too much star power. It's King James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook on one side,
right.
and then you have Steph Curry, Draymond Green on the other side of the stars. Clay's still not playing, but I mean, it's as blockbuster as it gets, especially for an opener.
So you're expecting to see some real action?
I think people are going to go hard, and there's some a lot of tension, right? Steph and LeBron, how many years in a row did they play in the finals? They don't want to lose to each other.
Right. Especially not like, you got to make a good first impression.
Yeah.
Speaking of tension, what the hell's going on with Ben Simmons? Once again, not my area of expertise. Ben Simmons been thrown out of practice. I thought he said he wasn't going back to the Sixers. What's going on with him?
So this all comes back to the whole offseason. Ben Simmons and his agent Rich Paul communicated to the Philadelphia 76ers that Ben Simmons wants to get traded. So
what's his reason for that?
I think a lot. He kind of had a shitty playoffs, and I think he and Joel Embiid don't get along. He was pretty hesitant in the postseason to even shoot because he was afraid to shoot. He was afraid to get fouled. He didn't want to go to the free throw line. The Philly fans roasted him. Yeah. Philly's a very tough place to play as a professional athlete. Yeah. So the whole Philly media was after him. Joel Embiid, apparently, they don't get along. And he's just like, I want a fresh start. Here's the tricky part. And this is I think, a crisis for the NBA. Mm-hmm. And the reason it's a crisis is he has 4 years left on his deal.
Yeah.
So he's not even remotely close to being a free agent. So if you let stars start to dictate when they want to play and who they want to play for, what's the point of contracts? Yeah. And how is the NBA going to navigate this? Yeah. So he based Philadelphia 76ers and Ben Simmons and Rich Paul basically had a standoff leading up until last week. Basically, the assumption was Ben Simmons was going to get paid and they'll ultimately trade him. They didn't trade him because they were asking for too much. And then Philly said, we're not paying you and we're going to fine you if you don't show up. So he would have been fined millions of dollars and he would have lost out on $30 million. Mm-hmm. So he showed up last week, went through COVID protocol. Yesterday, I think, was his first practice. And there was clips of it. He's clearly dogging it. Like he's like barely doing any of the drills. Yeah. And then today, the report from all like the NBA insiders is that they tried to get him to do a drill and he just said like, nah, I'm good. And they kicked him out of practice and now he's suspended for the first game. And it's a showdown now because now they could have traded him in the offseason for, 75, 80 cents on the dollar. Yeah. Now you have a guy that kind of dogged it in practice publicly and got kicked out. Yeah. His trade value has to go down. And the Philadelphia 76ers are owned by Josh Harris and Michael Rubin. Josh Harris runs Apollo, the big private equity company. So he's a billionaire. Yeah. Michael Rubin's a billionaire. You have Rich Paul, who's arguably the most powerful person in the NBA other than LeBron James. Yeah. And Ben Simmons is this like pawn. And you have the NBA, like, what the fuck is going to happen if players start walking out with 4 years left on the deal? Yeah. How can any like small market team, sign a guy for $250 million if they know one day they just wake up and say like, I'm not playing anymore? Yeah. Like, how do you build your franchise? I'm all for player empowerment, but it's very tricky.
But also, what's the opinion? Is it Ben Simmons needs to like suck it up and do what he said he would do? Or do you like see a side of his that makes sense?
So objectively, he should show up and play.
Yeah.
If you just take all emotion out of it, you show up, you play, and then prove you're still good and get traded. Mm-hmm. And I think teams wanted to see him play to make sure he's not like fully broken before they trade for him. Because the dude's a superstar. I think, how much does he have left on his contract? Like 150, 200 million, something crazy.
Something crazy like that.
It's a large number. So if you're going to trade for someone, have that on your books. And then you just saw he doesn't want to, when he decides he doesn't want to show up, he doesn't show up. It's so tricky. And I don't know how the NBA is going to handle it.
It just seems like, I don't know, man. Because I don't know enough about sports and haven't been following it, I don't want to come off so out of pocket here, but it just seems like, man, you can't like you have the dream job, you're paid so much, you can't just show up and like throw a fit and tank your practice. Like what's that going to get you? What team is going to be like, oh yeah, we want that guy?
Yeah. And I think the same thing's happening with Kyrie in Brooklyn. I think ultimately they would like to trade him, but what team's going to have the confidence that he's going to show up?
Yeah. I mean, at least to be honest, in this sake, and I could see how different people would view this different, but like Kyrie, at least, even though it doesn't quite make a whole bunch of sense, at least he has like a very passionate reason why he's not going to do it. Whereas Ben,
at least he's legally not allowed to be in the building.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the letter of the law, Kyrie is legally not allowed to play.
Exactly. At least that's the case though. Whereas Ben Simmons, it's like, oh, I don't like it here.
Yeah. And or do owners and teams have to suck it up because this is the new generation of the youth?
Yeah.
Like when they don't want to do something, they don't do it. So just trade them immediately. Is that the solution? Because Ben Simmons isn't going to be the last one to just last. He's a superstar. He's a bona fide superstar.
Oh yeah, I would say he's probably the first of many. Not the first. There's been plenty, but like I think this becomes the new normal.
Yeah, and it's happened before. Anthony Davis did it, but Anthony Davis did it with 1 year left on his deal.
Yeah.
Other guys have done it with like 1 year. No one's done it with 4 years left.
4 is a tough bargain.
And just
that's tough. Okay. Well, good luck to him. And what about the old over to football land? The old Dan Snyder. These Gruden emails. There's a cheerleader saying that she thinks Dan Snyder is the one who leaked. I mean, we talked about last week how this really felt like a hit. I mean, look, don't get us wrong. The Gruden emails were disgusting. But it didn't feel like, oh, we're going to bring everything to light and we're going to clean out the bad actors. It felt like a targeted attack on Gruden. But do you know anything about the, what's this conspiracy theory about Dan Snyder?
Yeah, I think it's more things are like this are just going to leak. So this ex-cheerleader says, thinks that Dan Snyder leaked. I think everyone is convinced someone had it out for him because these emails have been around, nearly a decade.
Yeah.
And who wanted him out and why? So who did he piss off? Did he piss off Dan Snyder? And then the NFL said they're not releasing the other 650,000 emails, which is also interesting. Like, we only leaked the ones to get John Gruden out, not to get any of the other like super powerful owners or coaches or personnel.
Yeah.
It's so fishy. And I gotta imagine, like, as big as sports is, like, if people were able to find out all this information about Nixon in the 60s, they should be able to find out what's on these emails.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
But I guess, the NFL might be more protected than the White House.
Yeah, it might be. It just seems so fishy that, and doesn't the NFL kind of have like mud on their face? Like, you knew these emails had this content for years. Yeah, and why isn't anyone criticizing the NFL?
It's weird to me that no one goes that deep. Like, meaning it's just like, oh yeah, the emails and this guy's racist. But like no one asks the second question.
Yeah, or ESPN. He was the voice of Monday Night Football for years. And that NFL's biggest partner is ESPN. So the NFL knew these emails existed. He is commentating the biggest game of the week on the biggest stage, and no one cared.
Yeah.
So the NFL knew that he was representing the league as an announcer and didn't care that they knew these emails had this content.
No, they don't. I mean,
no one's talking about that. I've watched ESPN so much. I listen to every sports podcast. No one's saying, like, why did the NFL allow him to be on Monday Night Football?
Yeah. I wonder why, like, what I was just trying to look up is, like, why does this cheerleader know so much? Like, that was another why question that came to mind.
Right.
What's this
like,
cheerleader
what did she
know
find
about
out?
Dan Snyder?
And Dan Snyder's not very well liked either in the NFL. So I gotta imagine someone wants his emails. I mean, you saw what they did to Robert Kraft. And
who did that? Who caught old Robert Kraft at the massage parlor?
Yeah, someone followed him, knew what he was doing, and leaked it.
It just makes me feel like all these coaches and like, a lot of these people in different organizations, but especially this one, like they all have dirt, and it's like you could target anyone at any time.
Right.
Like it's the way it feels. Maybe I'm like coming at it from a fucked up perspective, but I mean, if they have all these emails and shit, it's like who else would go down tomorrow? Half of the league?
And this is the interesting thing. This is the generation, especially I would say our age and up, where we lived in non-digital world and digital worlds. So early on, you had no care what you wrote in emails, what you posted on Facebook, what you posted on social media, because it didn't matter. It was just a fun social thing, and it wasn't big enough to matter.
Yeah.
And so everyone posted shit that they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And so in theory, if you look at anyone's emails from 15 years ago, there's probably some unsavory things being said across the board, across executives, across all industries. So are we just going to sit and like pick off people, one at a time? Like what's going to happen?
It seems like yes. It seems like it, because I have to believe the Robert Kraft thing had to be kind of similar. Like all these things have to be. No one's stumbling upon this information and letting it be known the moment they find it.
Yeah, no one's like, why are you following Robert Kraft into a Thai massage parlor?
Yeah.
They're like, there's a reason that was set up, right?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, I don't know, but I agree. I mean, I think the part that is interesting that nobody asks on a high level is what else? Why did you guys know this and you were okay with it for so long? And what else do you know currently today that you are currently okay with? Because there's so much more.
And largely the sports media has dropped it. No one's asking why the other emails aren't being released. So the NFL told ESPN, stop talking about this.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you go on First Take, no one's talking about the other emails. They're just still shitting on Gruden.
Man, Gruden took the L for everyone on that one. Okay. What about, so topic jump to some things going on around the world. What's this like? The hacker stole like the entire government database for Argentina's entire population. What's happening there?
That's exactly what happened.
So why?
A hacker group has hacked every person who I think ever has data in the Argentinian government like data room, and it's up for sale. They're willing to sell it. Like Lionel Messi, the superstar soccer player, his all his personal data is leaked on the internet now.
Like, what would you get? Like, what's in there? Or do you think?
I think Social Security or whatever the equivalent of that is in Argentina. Date of birth, name, address. I think, like for Messi, it probably doesn't matter. But for like other people, you can just forge people's identities now. Yeah. Like, how easy would it be to make an Argentinian passport if you know someone's entire information?
What do we catch this hacker or no?
I mean, they would have. I don't know what Argentinian cybercrime unit is like. So if they've invested in it or not,
clearly not.
Yes, exactly. The fact that this happened is clear. I'm also more shocked this doesn't happen in the U.S. more, because if we think about like how valuable that information would be to a foreign actor, or has it already been done and they've just sent warning shots? Because you do that to the U.S., that's an act of war, and whatever group or country that was state sponsoring it, it's like you're going to be obliterated off the face of the earth. Is that the reason? Like, why can't hackers hack like our energy pipeline or power, turn off our power, turn off like all this stuff? I feel like it's almost like the equivalent of like using a nuclear weapon. The first person to do it means the world's over. So if someone did that to the U.S., the world's over. I don't know. But you got to imagine the U.S.'s cybersecurity can't be that strong either.
Yeah, I could be wrong here, but I was under the impression that like Russia had already proven that they knew how to do it when it came to like energy grids and stuff. But I think you're exactly right. I think it's such an act of war that, because I'm sure we know how to do it to them too. And so I think it's a line that you don't cross. But I don't know why like a rogue hacker doesn't do it. I mean, maybe ours is relatively secure or I don't know. But I guess you could just be like some rogue crazy hacker in like another country and do some pretty good damage. Yeah,
and you think this is going to continue to happen in countries where they don't fear blowback. Like you do this to the U.S., you do this to China, it's over, right?
Yeah.
But you can do this to other countries that won't have the same response. You got to imagine this is just going to compound. Or why aren't people fucking with other countries' power grid and energy grid? They just don't care. You got to imagine if hackers could steal 45 million people's personal data information from the government, don't you think they could do something else to Argentina?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really not. Maybe they don't care to like shut off Argentina's power. What do you get out of that? Where at least there's a business for this. There's a market for it.
Yeah. Or like, I'm surprised like a hacker won't like, hey, Argentina is playing in a soccer game. Let's just turn the lights off.
I agree. These guys aren't quite childish enough. You know what I mean? I need you to step it up and have some fun. Did you guys see Southwest? I mean, this is going to be a big problem. Southwest. So Southwest already had like, because when it comes to like mandatory vaccines and that stuff, they already had a bunch of people, they had a bunch of flights canceled and stuff like that. You saw that? I don't remember if we talked about that. And they said...
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, they said it wasn't because of the vaccine thing. It was something totally different. Well, now they are on offense and they're saying that starting in December, all unvaccinated staff will be on unpaid leave. So they're putting the hammer down.
So that was the original plan. They scrapped that plan now. And now they're saying if you have submitted a request while you should be exempt, until your request has been reviewed, you can still work under mask mandates and, testing negative, whatnot. Mm-hmm. But there's no way, because if the Southwest's employees is any reflection of the country, because they're a large scale business, it's 50-50, right? At best.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? So it's 50-50. 50% of the people aren't going to get exemptions. In theory, it should be like less than 1% that should be able to get an exemption because it's religious or
health
for whatever medical reason, right?
Yep. But I wonder how easy it is to like, why couldn't you be like, yo, I'm just super fucking religious? Like, I wonder what the line of like legal, because this is a legal issue. So what is the line of proof that you're religious? And how can you not just hack it and be like, I went to church last Christmas?
And I haven't heard, maybe you have, what is the religious exemption? Like what religion says you can't get a COVID-19 vaccine?
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know. But I mean...
So do you have to prove that you never had any immunizations? That's a good bar, right? Like you never got any immunizations from birth. Hepatitis, whatever the hell they give you kids in the hospital.
You should have no piercings. You have not altered your body in any way. That's what I want to know.
Tattoos?
Yeah, no tattoos.
Can't have tattoos?
No. Because I believe, look, I don't know shit here, but I believe that even in like Christianity, you could say, my body is my temple or whatever. And I don't, that was always the Christian, like when I was growing up, that was always the reason why you don't get tattoos.
Right.
And so you could say that I don't put vaccines in myself. God made me perfect. I don't know if that stands, but that's what I'm curious about because it seems like you could hack the system and you could just be like, all right, well, yeah, my religion, I don't believe in that.
So 50% of the country is just going to choose not to come to California anymore, not go to New York, because the vaccine checks are getting much more real than they were, than I even anticipated.
Have you been checked yet?
So what's that?
Have you been checked?
Yeah. I got checked at Nice Guy. I got checked. I went to a meeting at Soho House yesterday, and they had the most stringent check, which I applaud them for. I had to show my vaccine, digital card, and then show proof of ID that my name matched the vaccine.
What if you have the physical card? Is that no good anymore?
No, I think that works.
Okay.
And, the Dodger game last week that I went to, they checked. It wasn't a real check, but they checked. They tried.
Yeah. And probably Lakers tonight, right? For sure.
Absolutely. It's in
official.
Like the email you get. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it's in the email. You have to show proof of vaccine.
Okay, well, I'm curious, man. What else happens? Do you just stop? Do you just cut half your flights? No one wants to work anyway.
Yeah, but if you just think larger the larger point is, are these people in Texas just never going to a non-red state?
No, I don't think they plan to until this is over. I mean, look, how long?
We know it's not going to be over for at least 2 years.
Yeah. If you're in Texas, you're like, fuck it. I don't need to go to LA or California for 2 years. Probably never go there.
Fuck them liberal
Fuck them
bitches.
liberal snowflake bitches. There's no chance.
Yeah, so Joe Rogan can't even do a show in LA.
That's a good question. He said that, what's funny is he said on his podcast the other day, I believe, that he has a show in New York at like Barclays or something insane, and everyone has to get vaccinated, but he said he didn't.
Why?
I don't know.
Why can he enter Barclays and Kyrie
I don't know.
can't?
That's what he told his guests. He's like, I feel bad because everyone has to get vaccinated. And, he's sort of, borderline anti.
Isn't that like why would you want to be at a show when your whole stance is you're anti-vaccine and everyone's vaccinated?
Yeah. That was kind of a shitty thing. And he's like, I booked it so long ago before the mandates. And so this is my only option or I have to cancel it. But he's like, they're not making me get vaccinated.
And the show has or hasn't happened?
That's a good question. It would have happened or is happening in plus or minus 2 weeks, week and a half.
I could see a scenario where it was in that like middle ground where it wasn't, there were certain dates where the mandate happened. But right now, I mean, Dee was in New York a few weeks ago. And when you were in New York, were they asking for vaccine proof? When did you go? Like 2-3 months ago?
I went like probably 2 months ago. They weren't doing it yet.
But now, from everything I've heard from people in New York, it's like you have to show it. You can't even walk into a restaurant. You can't walk in anywhere.
Yeah. I think if you're in Texas or Florida, you just wait it out. You don't care. You're probably boycotting, the coasts anyway.
I wonder what like high-powered executives that are anti-vax, how are they going to,
I bet most of them are
just
getting it.
Skip the meeting in New York?
Yeah,
with the
probably a little bit
bankers?
of that. There's probably a little bit of that. A lot of like fly and meet me in Florida at my rental. And a lot of probably just caving. Or like, I don't know. Like if you... no, I guess, you're probably fucked. Because any of those offices in New York, you're in a bigger building. It's not, you don't own the building, so you can't get around that.
Nope.
Okay. Well, interesting. We'll see what happens. But I do feel like a lot of people are just going to silently cave and get the vaccine.
It's going to be like don't go in the parties they go to, you just lie.
Yeah.
I didn't get the vaccine. Fuck that shit.
Authoritarian.
I'm going to New York I'm going to the Knicks game tomorrow.
Exactly. Don't ask. Jesus. Here's a funny one that I wanted to ask you about, Anand, is there is officially a Bitcoin ETF.
Yep.
Now, I get it. Maybe this is just easier for things like retirement funds and stuff like that to offer to their customers. You tell me. But to me, an ETF for Bitcoin defeats the entire purpose of just buying Bitcoin.
Yes, 100%. But it's a way to get boomers in the market.
Okay.
So this is going to be their entry point. So if you're a boomer and you have your money at JP Morgan, Merrill Lynch, Goldman Sachs, you name it, and you just basically have given them all your money and say like, you manage it, I don't want to do anything. So if that person, if they're having them manage it, that means they're managing how much Amazon they own, how much Tesla they own, and all the different stocks.
Yeah.
You think that person's going to go sign up for a Coinbase account and figure out how to buy Bitcoin?
Yeah, you're right.
So
this is good.
It's great. It's a way for that customer to get exposure to it. So it's supposed to mirror the price of Bitcoin, which, by the way, I don't know if you saw, we're past 64,000.
What's all-time high?
In the 64s. I forget if it's like mid 64.
Yeah, we're in the game. But you know what? I guess like any Bitcoin that I've ever had in Robinhood is essentially a Bitcoin ETF.
That is
so. Right. Who am I to complain?
Yeah, but it's huge. Everyone has been talking about this ETF coming, and for the last few years, and it's finally here. It's a watershed moment for the crypto economy.
So we're about to be at an all-time record high.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no stopping it. I think that's what we're realizing. Yeah. How little of people's savings. If you think about like where's most of the wealth concentrated, it's older people, right? That's like, tens of trillions of dollars that has zero exposure to Bitcoin today. And it's already a $3 trillion economy like across all crypto assets. How does that not go from 3 to 20 to 30 to 40?
Yeah. I agree. Well, let's fucking go, man. It really does feel to me like we're past the point of it even feeling debatable if it will exist, at least.
That's 100%
right.
true.
So if we battle over whether it'll be 500,000 per Bitcoin or a million or whatever it'll be, the idea of it going away, which, I think you would think about that like a year and a half ago. Maybe you didn't, but I think most people would.
Right.
I think now most people have accepted Bitcoin's at a minimum digital gold. It's here.
And how much of that do you think got accelerated because of the pandemic? Like, did we push up 5 years or 2 years, or would it have been the same trajectory? That average people had time to spend and be like, what's this Bitcoin thing? Who's Satoshi?
Yeah. I think it sped it up, and I think that all of the other crazy shit made meaning like some of this NFT stuff, shit coins, all this stuff made Bitcoin in perspective feel actually really reliable and normal. Like I think the explosion of all that craziness of the metaverse and the blah blah blah. Like I think that all really
even Dogecoin.
Yeah,
Dogecoin.
I think that all really accelerated also over the last year and a half, and I think that all of that made Bitcoin look literally just like gold. Like it just looked reliable and like, oh yeah, this is normal. Now we're already past that into some crazy shit.
Which is so fascinating because it happened so quickly.
Yeah.
Like you said, 18 months, probably 2 years ago, you had a Bitcoin's a fraud community.
Yeah. Now all you have is Jamie Dimon. He's the last to go.
He's in. When do you think he does the switch?
I bet just
never.
like we're talking about with the vaccine, I bet he's already vaccinated, if you know what I mean. But he
probably owns like $10 million.
Yeah, he's got a toe in there, and he's just gonna slowly, I think 6 months from now, what is it? It's October. So I think spring, you get some sort of light, like admission or like in passing that, Bitcoin's all good.
Because here's the other problem Mr. Jamie's going to have. Mm-hmm. If you think about how many crypto companies are getting backed right now by Andreessen Horowitz, by Paradigm, by all these funds who've raised billions and billions of dollars investing in crypto companies, they're all going to start going public in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
How can JP Morgan get that business if your leader is saying it's a fraud?
Yeah. He's just going to be left in the absolute dust. And he's going to see that. He's a smart guy. He'll see that right before it's too late, and he'll act like he never said it.
Yeah, I suppose.
He'll be in on Shibu
but out of principle,
in no time.
If you're a crypto-backed company and you're looking for a banker, do not use JP Morgan.
Yeah.
Out of pure principle.
Yeah, no, I agree. Speaking of big crypto moves, did you see, well, of course you did, Coinbase and the NBA? I mean, does it get any better for you? Is there any two organizations?
You got to throw Drake in there.
Yeah.
If Drake was sprinkled in.
Yeah. Maybe if Drake performs at like the party, that would be like the mecca for Anand. Coinbase and NBA have partnered. They're the official crypto platform of NBA, WNBA, G League, 2K, the whole thing. So they're in.
Yeah, so basically they're going to do numerous things, it sounds like. So I think from Coinbase perspective, this is part of them even further bringing it, Coinbase and crypto economy, all of it to the mainstream. Mm-hmm. So they said there's going to be visible signage at NBA arenas, games, that Coinbase is an official crypto partner for the NBA. And they're going to do education seminars for their fans, for the league, for the players. I think it's just like a brilliant marketing move for Coinbase. I don't know what monetary transaction happened. Like, what did Coinbase pay to be the official partner? Because it's a big deal. And it's just becoming like it's the trusted platform for this whole new economy. And It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge for Coinbase. It's huge for the NBA being innovative and thinking, knowing that their fans, their young fans, are in this economy. The players are all young. I'm sure most of the players have exposure to Bitcoin somehow, some way. It's just smart marketing.
And I think like even bigger than it is for Coinbase and for the NBA, it's just another big win for crypto as a whole.
Yeah.
Because just you're going to get used to it. You're going to get used to seeing Coinbase banners in the background at games. And it's just slowly, it's becoming the norm.
Yeah, that there's an exchange called FTX. They sponsor the Miami Heat arena.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the official, it's like the FTX arena, I think. Kraken's an exchange. I forget which arena they sponsor or team, one of the two.
Coinbase is just such a good name.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like if you see FTX in the background, I don't know what the fuck that is. I'm like, cool, like an energy drink or something. Coinbase, you know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Well, good for them.
It's great.
Big move. Another big move is, well, let's talk Squid Game. Hopefully Dee on his little trip is finally soaking in Squid Game, but I feel like just for the sake of saying F you to us, he probably won't. But it turns out one of the biggest things, especially now I'm guessing that because we're coming up on Halloween, I'm guessing Squid Game items are probably more popular than ever. But we talked about how like the white slip-on bands, which they wear in Squid Game, have went like 1800x or something in sales. Everyone's buying green jumpsuits. Squid Game fashion is the new thing. The interesting thing that Vice posted is that Squid Game merch is also very, very popular in China, where Netflix doesn't even exist. So what's happening here? Because it's who's sneaking on the VPN, because you're not even supposed to be on social media seeing that we like Squid Game. So where are you getting the intel?
So it's bootleg merch, obviously. You can't order the Netflix official merchandise. But so they're VPNing the show somehow, right?
Gotta be.
And that just shows you, I mean, if you think about it, if you live in China, you're kind of in your own Squid Game.
I read an article about that today.
I read
an article about like where China has apparently been, by some UN investigation, has been found to be potentially like harvesting organs from their political, dissidents, whatever, their enemies, from the Uyghurs or from whatever. And that they have this whole operation of like livers and kidneys and corneas and all these different things from their enemies, essentially, and comparing it to a real life Squid Game.
Yeah. Did you ever, the North Korean defectee that was on Joe Rogan? She's super famous. She's done like TikTok. She talks about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. She talks about how they capture like fugitives from North Korea and get their organs. And she was like borderline, she thought that was going to happen to her. So it happens. Yeah. But they're in their Squid Game in many ways. Like if you're CEO of any of the big tech companies in China, you could be eliminated.
Yeah.
ByteDance CEO, you have now been eliminated.
Yeah, you're right.
Jack Ma, you have now been eliminated.
You're right.
And there's just some master just like, boop, he's out the game. They're out the game. Those guys are out of it.
Here's the question. Does like we talk about China, and I'm probably the number one on the pod that's like the most scared of China, but we talk about this path that they're on. What do you think the chances are that the population revolts? Because they obviously, if they're walking around in Squid Game merch and shit, like they know what's going on. They're not just blindly following the leader. Is that a chance, or do you not think so? Do you think they're so in check that it doesn't matter?
It's going to be the craziest real-time social experiment we'll have ever seen in our lifetime. Like how this plays out. This Chinese government just went and create this orderly population with everyone's kids not playing too many video games, not getting addicted to social media, and they live like normal lives and everyone's happy. Yeah. Or does the population revolt and say, we're done with Squid Games?
Because you got to be hopping on that VPN. You're seeing Nick Merckx flying private, playing video games. You're seeing freaking, whatever influencer making millions off of TikTok, your app. You got to be like, fuck this place. I want to go watch Squid Game and play video games.
Yeah, they want exactly what they want to do,
Right?
And like if Squid Game merch is popular in China, that means there's a large portion of the population that's done with what's going on there. You'd have to imagine.
Yeah. What if we get a revolt and the whole thing doesn't matter? Because to me, you get some big nationwide revolt. That's what could take the steam out of this whole world takeover.
But they're so ruthless. Don't you think they'll just start offing them? They'll just start killing them?
They will, but then can we, will the rest of the world, I mean, look, the rest of the world can turn their back because there's so much money there. I'm not saying it's right, but they are turning their back because there's so much money to be made and because everything happens in private. So all the stuff with the Uyghurs, there's no, video of it, whatever. If there's video of people getting shot in the streets, does the world step in at that point?
Yeah, because it would have to be like wide scale blood in the streets. Yeah. It's not going to be like Tiananmen Square isolated to one square. If there's an actual coordinated revolt, it's going to be pretty widespread. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I saw some people, of course, being like, "Oh, Squid Game is, a take on capitalism, and we're living in Squid Game here in the U.S." But like, not even close. Like, China's literally the real version.
Yes. And because it doesn't matter what wealth you've accumulated. Because you can make the argument in the U.S., once you make a lot of money, you're out of Squid Game. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Speaking of merch, you got a piece of merch you want to tell us about, Anand?
Yeah. Tim, the socialist, was looking on Sotheby's the other day and came across a Grateful Dead t-shirt he was interested in.
Tim.
I was like, how much does it cost? He says it's $17,000, $17,000.
Yes, that's just looking for a little loan.
Was it worn by the Grateful Dead?
It's an original Grateful Dead t-shirt from 1967.
So it's just a t-shirt. It's just a merged t-shirt.
Yes.
$17,000.
It was expected to go for $300 was the expected auction price, and it went to $17,000.
Do we know who bought it?
It does not say.
It does not say.
Tim, what are you doing on Sotheby's?
Oh
my God.
He's just casually perusing Sotheby's.
Seeing what he'll do with all those management fees.
No, I'm just such a deadhead. I get alerts every
time.
Got
it. That's what it was.
Anything related to the Grateful Dead.
Got it. Okay, well, shit, man. I mean,
everything, collectibles, it does not matter. There's a market for everything.
Anything finite, there's a market for.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, on that note, let's wrap it up. We have our segment every Tuesday, as seen on social. So, Anand, what have you seen in the last week on social media that everyone needs to know about?
So it looks like Bill Gates' daughter got married in upstate New York, and photos started leaking over the weekend. Bill Gates showing up in a helicopter. He looked pretty dressed down. Melinda Gates showed up in a helicopter. She was dressed to the nines. And there's a fancy ritzy wedding and pictures. I'm sure it was a great time. Do you think they interacted, Bill and Melinda? They had to, right?
They had to.
You have to give your...
You got to.
Yeah.
You got to give the daughter
It's impossible
away.
not to, right?
Yeah, you got to show unity. Yeah. What about who's the lucky guy?
So Bill Gates' daughter married Nael Nassar, who's 30, who is an equestrian, rides horses. He competed in the Tokyo Olympics.
Oh my gosh. Good for him.
You have to be rich if you are in the horse world.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not That's not like, hey, you just picked up a basketball at home and got really good at it. Like, to start an equestrian.
That's true. That's probably likely. But I just hope for the sake of the story that he's some, came from rough backgrounds, fell in love with horses at a young age, had a natural gift.
I mean, you don't even get to meet Bill Gates' daughter unless you're rich.
I know, right? He's like, hey, nice. Wait a minute. Let's get a check here.
I don't think, Bill and Melinda are at Olive Garden and her daughter just hit it off with the waiter.
I just want that to be true. Well, I want that to be true, and I hope that they have a beautiful relationship. And you know what? I hope Bill and Melinda are good too, because we got a lot of charity work still to do. I mean, they got to be working hard on that together, right?
I mean,
It's the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Come on.
I'm sure they have intermediaries that they have. Each one has a chief of staff, and they're coordinating. Right?
I mean, I think you might be right, but I thought we were coming together for a bigger cause here.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to know a bigger cause? Kanye West. Here's mine. Kanye West is no longer Kanye West.
Okay. What does that
So
mean?
what that means is, he has that song, I Miss the Old Kanye. Well, you're never going to get him again. He's officially gone from the earth. His new name is Ye. Ye West.
Okay.
So
this is this like a Puff P. Diddy?
No. This one's
kind of
through the
thing?
court system. This one's real. This is not just a social media thing. And you need to address him as such. And if you are heard saying the word Kanye, you'll get Squid Gamed. That's what I heard.
I would believe that.
Player Anand has been eliminated. So have respect. He is now Ye. And that's where we're at.
He's had some interesting hairstyles. I'm just searching on Twitter recently.
How about the masks? He's been wearing some crazy Halloween looking thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is that the thing with earphones over? That's actually him?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's a little scary. It went a little dark. I wonder what the whole thesis is behind the no mask. Because you know that there's got to be a thing, like a creative reason.
I think masks are in, right? Not like COVID masks. You see a lot of people just wearing the full mask now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Kanye started that.
Mm-hmm.
So now are people going to start wearing costume masks? Because what you're referring to is he's wearing costume masks now.
I think so.
Not just full.
I think anything goes now. You know what I mean? Like, fuck it. Halloween's all year now. Who is that? Who's clapping? Is that Tim?
It's Tim.
Tim, I better see you then live it. I want to see you walking here in June as a fucking princess.
I could do that. I think I'd be the most beautiful princess in the room.
I think you would. You just show up one day, you're a bunny rabbit. Next day, you're
Are you saying
a
we can't be
princess.
beautiful princesses?
I just don't believe that you'll do it. This is a challenge.
Are you saying we're not pretty?
We don't have the confidence you have?
Not all of you, but I won't name names.
Sounds to me a little somethingist. I don't know what it is. Okay, that's all we got. Do we have shout outs?
Yes.
Who do we got?
We've got.
Yeah, we got two shout outs here. So the first one comes from Richie Velasquez, who says, "Hey guys, wanted to give a happy birthday shout out to my amazing fiance, Laura, who just turned 29. She's an avid listener of the pod. Thanks for making us sound a lot smarter. I put her on a few years ago and we've been hooked ever since. We've participated in multiple virtual run clubs and Laura has ran a few marathons as well. We love to go back and forth and continue the conversation. She's constantly sending Dee funny DMs from our time in Ohio. We're now back in Atlanta, where Laura works as a pelvic physical therapist. I recently left sports and joined a large tech company after many years of listening to you guys talk about the future. We appreciate all the constant content and conversations. Thanks, guys. Hope someone reads and it makes an upcoming show now that Pete is gone. Yeah, well, we're taking care of things over here. Jason and I got this held down.
Yes, sir.
Love it.
And then
Much
we
more reliable.
got one more from Joseph Valdez, who says, happy 21st birthday to my wife, Julieta. Can't wait to celebrate this weekend. Thank you for all that you do.
Great.
Love it. There we go.
That's our shout
Shout
out.
out to you guys. Okay, that's it.
We did it.
Okay.
We did.
Everyone, we'll see you on Thursday. Have a great middle of your week and take care.